Hi, Phil Aston here from Now Spinning Magazine with another unboxing video. And this is BBA. Who? This is Jeff Beck, Tim Bogert, Carmine Appice, or Peach, depending on which brother you're talking to. This album I've had, I think, since I borrowed it from the school library. And it was a kind of entry point for Jeff Beck for me. And it was a massive seller at the time in all the music magazines. They were the great hope for the following year. This is 1973. But as the years rolled by, it was seen as Jeff Beck didn't really talk about it. It was the idea that Jeff Beck was fed up of the rock trio format, felt there was nothing new to be said, and it all kind of filtered out. And there was a feeling with everything he did since that this kind of like didn't capture the band as well as it could have done, as no matter how much it sold. And also a lot of people now look at it and go, shame he didn't have a good vocalist. And I understand that. In Japan, where of course it was huge, this was also released as a CD version repertoire a few years ago, they were so big in Japan that there was a live album released as well. So this box set brings all of this together, and it's absolutely marvelous. This is a box set that brings together the Japanese live album from 73, and more importantly, the unreleased live album from the Rainbow Theatre in 1974, which includes quite a few tracks from the second BBA album. Now I'm going to talk about what it's like, how it sounds and everything else after I've shown you what's inside the box. The Jeff Beck, Tim Bogert and Carmine Appice box set, which looks at the live albums from Japan in 1973 and live in London 1974. It's very much like the Black Sabbath deluxe CD sets in its construction and design. On the back you've got the track titles from the CDs. And the sticker that was on the front of the set says it includes 2 historic live recordings on 4 CDs, live in Japan, 15th and 18th of May 1973, and the live at the Rainbow Theatre, London, January 26, 1974, which is previously unreleased. It comes with a 60-page hardback book, extensive liner notes and photos, replica tour book, and a poster. So this is the inside of the box itself. I'll do the book last of all, and I think the tour book. So I'll just bring up the poster first of all, which is a nice touch for a band of this stature. It shows, a lot of thought has gone into this, and it's a nice poster. Shows the 3 members of the band, and it's on the Atco Records label as well. So that's the poster, and the discs themselves are at the bottom of the box. We've got Live in Japan 1973, and this has the original pictures on the gatefold sleeve from the Japanese edition, the kind of reissue CD version, never any of this really. And so it's a nice replica there with the tracks on the back. The discs themselves come in little anti-static sleeves to protect them, which is really nice as well. So that's the first one, and this was rare in itself. Remember, this only came out in Japan. And then the one, of course, the key one is this unreleased concert from Live London 1974, January the 26th, no doubt, no less even. And they've got the pictures of the band inside and all the details. And again, this has been remixed. Jeff Beck was involved as well, coordinating the mix, and it sounds superb, but I'll go into more detail when I go through the actual review. So we also have the Japanese tour book program, and this is a really nice touch. Sometimes with these box sets, you feel as if they don't really know what to put in them. We have ticket stubs and the odd plectrum or something, but this is really, really cool. And obviously Japan was where the band first went and took off, and of course we've got the live album, so that's why this is in there. We've got some great photographs of the band in action, just superb stuff, and it's all really well put together. Obviously I can't speak Japanese or so I don't know what it's saying. We've got a nice advert of the back of the album as well, and of course some up and coming things coming up through to Japan at the time, which is Deep Purple, Don't Worry, and Weather Report. And then the booklet itself is a proper book. Sometimes with these things, you can feel that the hardback nature of the book is thicker than the actual content. But this is very, very different. It's been put together really, really well. It's not just a mixture of cuttings from the time. It's a new essay which goes through each member of the band's background. So you've got Cactus, Vanilla Fudge, the Jeff Beck Group, the Yardbirds, the whole history of how the band were going to come together. Yeah, there's some press clippings from the time, but the essay, which Carmine Appice has been involved with, brings it all together, what was going on behind it, how they felt about the band coming together. And of course, this was a big deal. You know, bands back then, this was the age of the supergroup. And so, you know, all of this is in there. And it's text heavy. You can see there's lots of pictures here. But this doesn't feel to me like a book that's been put together with somebody saying, "Now, come on, we've only got so many pages. You'll have to edit that back." They've thought of the band first. That's how it feels to me. It feels like this has been put together thinking through the eyes of the fans who are really going to be interested in this. The story is great. I was reading it yesterday. It goes into absolute minutiae detail of what was happening. Stories about the gigs, the second album, how they were planning to do that as a live record. I mean, just look at this. This is just great detail, and it really is very well put together. So I have to say I'm very impressed with this. And then you've got some pictures of the inside of the gatefold from the vinyl copy and the back and front cover as well. And then all the track credits, etc. I mean, who's mixed it? Ben Finley's done the Live in London one, mixed coordination by Jeff Beck and Carmine Appice as well. And there's also some additional guitar overdubs by Jeff Beck. Now, whether it was at the time or done more recently, I'm not sure, but absolutely superb. So that is the box set, BBA live in Japan and London. So that's a look inside the box. What are my thoughts on the overall feel for this? I have to say that on paper, I wasn't sure, you know, because of the way it was being costed and everything. It's also available on vinyl. It's more money on vinyl. I imagine the booklet, which will be LP size, will be incredibly impressive because, as you've just seen with the CD one, the pictures and the text and everything is great. But having heard the music and looked at the package, which I think is really impressive, one of the key things straight away visually was this has been put together without thinking, oh, we'll just get this out because we could cash in on Jeff Beck not being around. That's not the case at all. Jeff Beck was involved. A lot of thought has gone into this. And from a fan's perspective, if you're a fan of Jeff Beck or this band or this period of rock history or whatever, I think it's really well done. But the music, well, the original one has got a bit more bass, a bit more mid-range. It's not dramatic, but it sounds better than the other version I had on CD. And I love the way that they've done the proper gatefold sleeve, which of course in the vinyl set, you know, will obviously just look like the vinyl edition. But it's this, isn't it? It all lands on the fact of this unreleased album from 74. Now, for many fans, even finding this was hard, but this is where it's at. And I think that there's two tracks in particular that to me just brings this all together, is that they were together as a band. What's evident in the booklet is that they were really excited about being together. The whole world is excited about them being together. Supergroups are everywhere, and they usually talk on the names of the people from the, you know, because they were bigger than their previous bands, so Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, you know, West, Bruce and Lang. So they were very aware of calling themselves Beck, Bogert and Appice, etc. But so they had BBA, but they really wanted to do this, and Jeff Beck was really interested and you know, really excited about being in a jammy rock ferocious band. They didn't want a vocalist. They felt like having a lead vocalist they'd get in the way. They'd change the dynamic of the band. This was a band that was all about the music, about seeing where it would take them, about, you know, Jeff Beck would say something, Tim Bogert would say something back on his bass, you know, Carmine would say something back on the drums. They were constantly evolving and jamming and doing really exciting things. This is 1973, 74. So they were keen to do a second album, it didn't just filter out after the first one, but they had trouble. I think they even tried Sly Stone to produce them, and it all fell apart. And then they thought, well, why don't we just do a live album as the second album? Obviously, that band, is it Badger, did a live Badger. Their first album was live. Band of Gypsies by Jimi Hendrix was all new material, live, new band. So I could see their thought process on this. But what I'm trying to get at, the other thing is what they were listening to by the time they did this. This was recorded 9 months before this, which in this time of rock history is a lifetime. So they were listening to Mahavishnu Orchestra in a Mounting Flame, Billy Cobham's Spectrum with Tommy Bolin. Jeff Beck was thinking about jazz fusion. And that is what makes this so special. Solid Lifter and Jeez Whiz, 2 tracks from the first CD. Seriously, the first track sounds like Hot for Teacher by Van Halen in some of the way the riff is coming together. Makes you wonder, does it not? Just how influential Jeff Beck is. But this is the bridge between hard rock Jeff Beck to jazz fusion Jeff Beck. It's on here. It's absolutely stunning. The sound is fantastic. Jeff Beck is on fire. And amazingly, the band literally fell apart after this. But you wouldn't know. The version of Superstition on here is just stunning. Nothing wrong with the one on this one. But this is just great. I'm really, really impressed. And it was recorded professionally. Jeff Beck was involved, coordinating the mix and everything. And it just sounds fantastic. I am thrilled with it. I really am. And it's an important part of the Jeff Beck story. It really is. And I think that the studio version, which fits in the box, by the way, if you've got this one, so you can keep them all together, it never to me captured what they were trying to do. As much as Jeff Beck talks about in here, they were trying to be a really, full-on rock band. It sounded quite tame. But when you listen to the live version of Lady from here, you realise just how on fire they were. But you also understand where Jeff Beck was going. But he had 2 musicians here with Carmine and Tim Bogert who could take him wherever he wanted to go. They were brilliant musicians from that time. And the fact that, Vanilla Fudge, Cactus, what a group. Oh, Vanilla Fudge. Where's the Vanilla Fudge box set? Anyway, and where Jeff Beck had been, what was going with, obviously in the background with Led Zeppelin and everything, I think I'm really, really thrilled. And it's great to talk about something where I cannot see what else they could have done to make it better. So that is out now, and it's great. Thoroughly enjoying it. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing and ringing that little bell and sending me messages and emails and whatever else. And thank you for listening to the podcast and becoming patrons and supporters. Remember, music is the healer. We just got to keep that sense of wonder. And the sun is always shining. So take care, everybody. Keep spinning those discs, and I shall see you very, very soon.